Where's Tom O'Connor? Where's that big O'Connor smile? Marcia, her perfect smile. McKay's at work. We got to give her a little break.
I'm here. I had to put some proper clothing on.
Okay, yeah, I forgot you always take this call nude, but
We
that's
appreciate that, Tom.
yeah, that's all right. I'd rather you be on here. Do what you got
Yeah.
to do, right? Hey, good morning. So let's. Brandy was nice enough to let me host at least the first half of the call, and then I've got to cut out of here about 10:30. But I got some stuff I want to cover real quick. But I wanted to just start off with a call. Tell me something good. People are starting to get busy. We're all a little bit overwhelmed with the multiple things in our lives. I know I've been sick for 5 days, but you know what? Business goes on. We'll talk about that in a second. Tell me something good. Give me a couple nuggets. Come on.
I got 3 offers on my Greenwood house, so that was exciting. So we went from like crickets for 11 days to 3 different really good offers. So that was cool.
Perfect. Perfect. When you say crickets, no showings or just no offers?
Great showings, just no offers
Okay.
because it was too small. So yeah, and we're contingent upon buying another house. So that was a blessing.
Love it.
So,
Love it. That's fantastic. Fantastic. And we're going to talk a little bit about contingency and when a contingency firms up and some things like that. I've got that on my list here. Who else? Who's got something good? Brandy's going on vacation Monday. Does that count?
Yes, that is something good. I'm so ready.
And you're going to Branson, right?
No,
Florida?
we're going to Florida.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
We got 2 of the 3 kids in tow, right?
Yep, yep. Well, that's okay. That's something good. Our oldest guy, I told you all he got his dream job. Well, it's not his dream job, but it's at his dream company. And he started on Tuesday, and he's just loving it. He looks like a little businessman when he leaves my house, and he's doing great. This is day 3 today, so we're excited for him.
That's so exciting. So
Yeah.
exciting. Good for him. He's a hard worker, and it's fun to see him grow up like this. Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Hey, I have something good. The driving range event last night was fantastic. We had a bunch of people show up. We had a great time. JD brought Tassio's Pizza, so it was a little bit of upgrade from Domino's.
Yeah.
And it was just really good. Also, if you're a golfer and you haven't been to the peculiar driving range in a while, you would be doing yourself a favor by going. They've done some really cool stuff down there. But overall, the event was fantastic. We even had we even had Nathan Priest show up for a while, so it was very cool. So
Very nice. Very
yeah.
nice. That's cool.
I'm
Anybody
bummed
else?
to missed it, Tom. Thank you for hosting. Thanks for figuring that out for us. I'm so bummed I missed it. I don't even golf, but I like that event. It's fun to hang out. And
it was really good.
my husband and kiddos loved it. So thanks for
Yeah,
doing that.
they're going to be
I was-
sore.
I was in my bed by
Your
6:30,
kids
Tom.
your kids probably hit 1,000 golf balls.
Okay. That sounds like a lot.
They got their money's worth. Anybody
Yeah.
else? Okay. All right, let's go. I got some stuff to talk about, and I want to kind of go into a few really detailed things. First of all, I kind of wanted to talk about overall market and what's working, what's not working from a Southland perspective. And we talk about this occasionally at team meeting, but it kind of comes and goes. But I want to be sure we're harping on this. One of the things that, and I have great, Reese Nichols' big company, Remax big company, EXP, whoever it might be, they're all fine and great. But what makes us isn't KW, it's KW Southland. And the difference in that is we have a synergy in our office that a core group, and I'm just going to say of our 120, our core group of 40 or 50 people, many of which have worked together for multiple years. And, your core group usually stays pretty consistent other than people retiring or passing on and things like that. But that core group it's our secret sauce. Brandy has the core group singing like I've never seen them work before. You guys look out for each other. I see you helping each other constantly. Things that always came into my office and Brandy's office and whoever's office, these things are being handled internally now where people are helping each other. I just wanted to get a comment or two on that because since I've been sick the last 4 or 5 days, I've had to kind of stay more in my office because I can't talk. but just what I see go down, and I'm just impressed, man, totally impressed. That is what makes Southland work. Yes, Canada culture is amazing and all those things, but that's what we have that other people are searching for. What are your thoughts? Love to hear a couple.
Hmm.
Got you off guard with that
No,
one, didn't I?
I have thoughts. I
Go, girl.
Yeah, my surprising, I have thoughts. I think my takeaway recently has been the accessibility that I've had to our broker, Darren. He has answered texts and phone calls and um, probably felt like a counselor and all the things. However, he just keeps answering me when I reach out. And so I think that's where my gratitude is at the moment, is just understanding and having a true appreciation. Um, because I was with a different company before and that just wasn't a thing. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you for sharing that, Tricia, because you've also had an amazing launch to your business the last couple of years with us. So you deserve all the credit, but I'm glad to hear that you feel like you've had good support because it does take support. You don't go from zero to what you've been able to do without amazing support. Nobody's that talented. We all need help along the way. And there's, as you know, every day that you learn something new. I mean, I know I do. If you guys don't, I'm shocked. But anybody else have anything to add on that? I just thought it was just something that listening in the office so much the last few days that really caught me kind of not necessarily off guard, but I thought it was pretty cool.
I can add something being new.
Yeah.
I can't say enough. I mean, I just wrote my first 2 contracts and went through the paperwork and, changing and correcting and doing all the things that you do. And I just have to say that I don't know that I've ever been in another work environment that was so, I've been in supportive work environments, but this has a positive energy that's hard to explain. So you want to come in, you want to be there, you want to help other people because people have been they've been so gracious to me and giving me grace as I'm learning and sharing ideas and just being really helpful because honestly, I had heard some horror stories about other offices and how realtors are a little cutthroat with each other and don't support each other and other brokerages. And I was kind of prepared for some of that. And it's been an amazing experience.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. That's really cool because you've been in top level environments for many, many years. So, obviously we're in a different arena altogether, but that's ultimate compliment for sure. So how rewarding is that? I just typed in the fact, somebody asked me the other day, Nathan, his comment was something about, how much longer are you going to do this? I was supposed to quit multiple years ago, by the way. And now financially well past that. But I am geeked out right now with just watching people grow businesses and launch businesses and bang their head against the wall and almost go to tears and pull out of the downspin. And all of a sudden they got 2 deals working. I'm kind of geeking out on that more than my own deals. And we just launched 4 listings this week. So it's just amazing how things what gets you excited during the day has changed over time. And it's not the X amount of dollar commission, but it's seeing some breakthroughs with some people that are on this call and that are on team meetings. So that's what Southland is. And, I just, Brandy and Caesar and, our leadership team and ownership group have tried to do our best to move that forward. Anybody else on that?
Well, I'll add to that, and never been with another brokerage. So I've only been with Southland, but I will echo kind of what Lisa said. Like the environment is it's not what I came from. Of course, I came from somewhat of a small family business where we just argued and bickered all day long. So it's great, but I'm going to give props to leadership because it all starts with the leadership of the thing, and you guys, the leadership sets the tone for the office. And everybody is willing to help everybody. So I don't ever feel like I'm in competition with anybody in that office. I also feel like that at any time I can reach out to Darren. I can talk to Lonnie. I can talk to Nathan. I can talk to the Finns. I mean, everybody that's in leadership in this group is accessible and willing to help me with whatever I need. And I feel like every day I go out, I have a leg up on not I'm not going to call our office competition, but any other brokerage out there. I just, my guess is there's nobody that is doing what we're doing right now at this moment. I bet nobody's doing a mastermind call with this level of involvement anywhere else out there. And I just, yeah, I'm amazing. Leaving one career and coming into another, and just having it totally re-energize me is something I'll always be grateful for.
Yeah, Tom, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that with everybody. So anyway, I just wanted to get a few warm fuzzies kind of out of the gate, and get some cool vibe going. So let's go meat and potatoes on a few things. Contingency, I want to get some clarity around this because I've heard people talk about this and I saw execution a couple times and I thought it was worthy of a conversation. If I have a buyer go in and put a contingent contract on a house, a soft contingency, right? And the people will take it. We just did this. House been on the market 30 days, even in Lee Summit, they took our soft contingency. Well, when my buyer goes under a soft contingency, there's a kick-out clause. Are you guys familiar with the kick-out clause? Okay. That just simply means the seller can continue to show the house. They can take it, what's called a backup offer to yours, which would then give you a kick-out notice. And in most cases, it defaults to either 48 or 72 hours. That's negotiable. But then for you to then perform, which means firm up your deal. You either have to show that you have a contract on your house or show that you no longer need to sell your house to perform on theirs. Does everybody get that? We good? Mm-hmm. Anybody have a question on it? It's really important to understand that. There's a thing that you need to really be aware of when you write those offers. On your contingency addendum, there's one box that we don't talk about that says whether your buyer, okay, my buyer that just bought the house, now I have to go hustle and go sell theirs, right? Do they have the ability to take a contingency on the house they're selling? Okay, do you guys understand that? In other words, that would take it into too deep contingency. And it's basically like a yes or no. Yes, they can take a contingency, or no, they can't. So this negotiation, Nanette and I were in, the listing agent insisted that we're not allowed to take any type of contingency. So she wanted to know in that. So I felt like that might hamstring my buyer a little bit. My buyer's got a $500,000 house. I do think it'll sell pretty quickly, but I would not be surprised if the people were at least contingent on a sale, okay? If they're not, they're not. But so we had to do the back and forth on that issue. But I would like to get your take on that. What are your thoughts on that particular issue? Pros and cons, how that could affect things, and so on and so forth. And I'll tell you where we landed on it. Where we landed is we wrote in the fact that we can take a contingency on his house, but it has to be approved by the people we're buying from. In other words, I have to sell it to them and say, here's why we're taking it. We're only giving them 10 days to get their house sold, whatever that might be. Here's the date on the house that we're contingent upon to get their buy-in. But do you guys have any experience with that? Tell me how that's worked for you. Maybe let's get some conversation around that. I don't know if this is anything we've done a deep dive on.
Is that box fairly new, Lonnie, or has that been around on that for a long time?
I would say that box is in the last year or two. Darren, if he's on here, might be able to tell me different, but I think it's relatively new. Because I don't remember having a lot of conversation around it. I would even say this might be in the last year.
Okay. Yeah, I've had deals that I didn't know that were 3 or 4 long.
For years. So
what's that, Nate?
The box is new, but the conversation's been being had for years.
Oh, there we go. But I like that the box defines that. I think that's a good idea, but I think we really need to think that through. Because my guy wanted this contingency so bad. He's like, man, this needs to be our next house. And I go, you may have to limit what I can do selling your house, right? If I hamstring you selling your house, you'll never get that house anyway, right? You follow me? So I had to really coach and consult my guy and massage it a little bit and let him know we got to find a middle ground here. I have to at least have the ability to possibly consider a contingency and get them to sign off on it. So then that's where we landed. Anybody else?
I would like to know what your take is on, right now you're the meat of the sandwich. What if it's your listing, somebody's bringing you a contingent offer to, where are you going to land in that conversation? Obviously, everything's specific based, but
Great point. I mean, we're more often than not, we're going to want non-contingent deal. Now, again, it depends on price range. Again, I think we have to handle 250, 350, even 450 houses different than higher level, more expensive homes, where I think contingency is a little bit more common. Big acreages, unique properties, I think we have to think totally different. But for high liquidity transactions, I'm pretty much going to want that they're not going to be able to take a contingency. If I'm selling a 350 house and somebody's making an offer on it, and I'm accepting their contingency, I want to be sure that they're accepting something that's firm, that doesn't take us 2 levels deep.
And then another level deep after that.
Now, where does it end? Where does it end?
Mm-hmm.
You guys see how important this is? Does that make sense? If you haven't been down this path, you will. I guarantee you'll have a buyer that is in that situation or a seller that's presented that. And when those come in, think clearly through that on what's best for your client and be able to explain the pros and cons on this. Anybody have anything to add on this? I thought we'd have a little more feedback on it.
I have a comment to make. I received a contingency offer on my Greenwood listing, and none of the agents put together an email to me saying anything about their clients. They just sent the information via dot loop, spoke to me on the phone, and that was it. So I was solely going off of my notes and memory of what I had talked about with these different agents. I thought that was not good on their end. But for the agent that submitted the offer with the contingency, he did not provide any sort of game plan, any sort of strategy. We're going on the market Saturday. And there was nothing, no pictures of the house, no information about the house, no records about the other listings in the area, nothing. So it made me very uncomfortable. And I just didn't think if he couldn't put that together and take the time, then is he going to babysit and make sure that house goes under contract? Is he going to continue to keep us updated? Like, those were all big red flags. So we didn't accept that contingency, and their price was higher and their terms were better. But the agent and the lender, they both called me and they were kind of aggressive on the phone, and I don't do well with that, kind of pushy. And that was another turn off. So trying to bullhead your way into something, if they would have just asked the questions, they wouldn't have been in that situation. But are you guys seeing where people are just ignoring offer instructions as well?
Yeah, it's awful. I mean, we've been looking at a lot of offers lately. This is what we're dealing with, Shelby, and this is what makes us different. This is why our people are growing and building businesses, and other people can't figure out why they're going nowhere. Is we have to learn. We have to learn. I will tell you, Shelby. Let's just say, for example, Makaya, or one of our established mature agents in our office that's been around as long as I have. They're bringing you that same contingency. Here's what it would look like. It'd be like, Shelby, we know we're contingent, but here's what we got. My guy has a $300,000 house. It's being photographed on Wednesday, goes live on Friday. Here's the price it's going on at. It's an A1 condition. Here's the 4 comps we used. And you'll notice the average days on market is 7 days. So we're asking for a 10-day contingency. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we're going to pop this thing. That is night and day what was presented to you. You see, yes. You have to sell an agent a contingency. And now what some people are trying to do to sell the agent the contingency is, guess what they're selling it with? Money. They're going 10 grand above everybody else because they've got this contingency that they know that maybe nobody wants to take, but they lure you with the price, right? And then if it doesn't appraise, then you're back down anyway. So it's how you handle these things. If you have to sell your case when you're presenting these things in the marketplace.
I wrote the contingent offer last night. We do have a firm contingency, so our house was already under contract. But we waited till we got that before we were writing offers. And so now we're kind of in a crunch to find something. But so we did come with a strong offer. It was clean. I've talked to the agent. I sold her on our contingency. And I thought she did a great job. She's an experienced agent at a Prairie Village, but she asked me, she looked at everything. It looked pretty great. But she said, can you send me a copy of the contract on your house and the pre-approval letter? So, and so I'm like, sure, you got it, and happy to do that to prove we're under contract with a solid buyer, solid lender. And I just thought, that was a lot of people don't even ask for that stuff. They don't even know you can ask for that if you are accepting a contingent offer, you can ask to see the other contract and connect with the other lender. Like, in fact, we probably should be doing that to look out for our seller. So I thought that was a great thing she did. Then I woke up this morning and found out my people decided to rescind the offer after all of that. So
okay,
that's a
it
bummer.
happens. It happens.
It happened.
Yeah. So the other thing with those offers, like Brandy's example, the people have their house under contract, but also at what stage under contract is it? If inspections haven't been done, when are they going to be done? Hey, by the way, inspections are not done, but they are scheduled for Thursday. So, we should know where we stand by Monday, that kind of thing. That can be really helpful for a listing agent. So the more things you can identify there, you could have a deal that, oh, by the way, inspections are happening, but we also have an appraisal waiver. Okay, that'd be a good thing to be sure that they understand too. So the more we can give, more information we can give them, the more we can document for them. I mean, I think I had one lady send me, she goes, hey, we're post-inspection. Not just tell me, she showed me a copy of the resolution. That was pro move, absolutely pro move. So again, these are best habits by the best people. That's what we want to duplicate in the marketplace. Anybody have anything else along those lines to talk about? Okay, so my guy has a soft contingency. Okay, we're under the gun, right? His house goes live today, all that kind of fun stuff. The second I get his house under contract, I'm immediately going to send an amendment to the front end person saying we now are a firm contingency. Why is that important to do that promptly?
It removes the kick out.
There you go. It's the kick out. We're in a kick out situation until we get to that point where we have a contract. So I want to let the people know that's the case. I will even queue it up early. Like if we're in negotiations on something, I'll tell the agent on the other end going, hey, my guy that has a contingency on you, just so you know, we're in negotiations on a good deal on his house. I think we'll have it dialed in 24 to 48 hours. Why would I do that? A, it keeps them informed. Secondly, it also maybe lets them deter anybody else that's looking. So that can be a plus for us. Anybody have anything to add to this? Keep going. No sweat. Okay, so my guy firms up. Boom, awesome. All of a sudden, inspections fail on his house. Guess what we have to do? We have to amend it again, and we go back to a soft contingency. Womp, womp, womp. You guys get that? So now we're subject to kick out all over again. You guys, everybody on the same page? Okay, so it can add back and forth from that standpoint. That hopefully doesn't happen to you guys, but I've seen it happen because I've helped you guys through that, and it's really, really cool. By the way, I had so much fun last week. Again, I wasn't feeling 100%, but one day I had 3 different agents that sent me either comps to go over on their house, which is, what I geek out about. And one of them was $1 million house, which was really cool. And she got the listing, yay. McKay and I, we just brainstormed on one that was been on the market a while, and it was just like confirming what we thought the next best step might be. So that was a little easier one. And then I can't remember who else, but we kind of dove into some comparable sales. Very seldom do we not come up with the same numbers. It's so funny how you guys you have this down so well now, but I think what you want is confirmation more than anything else. Is that kind of true, or is that just me, what I'm seeing from my chair? Nothing? Bueller? Okay, no worries. All right, let's move on to something else. Time. There was something I was reading the other day that I thought was kind of interesting. You guys are realtors. Our agents that build bigger businesses, we all have real estate and something else, okay? So, for example, Nathan is a realtor. Nathan has other business interests too, investment company, things like that. In addition to we all have our ands that is our family, right? And our health and mental well-being and all that. But the ands I'm going to focus on right now are the ands in addition to running a retail residential real estate business. And most of the people in our office have some other and. And what we have to be careful of is not getting too many ands going to where it compromises what for many of us is our primary. You guys get that? And that's not saying, hey, don't go chase that side hustle that makes X amount of dollars. I love entrepreneurship right up to the point where it doesn't take away from my bread and butter, the things that put money in my bank and provide for my family. So I think it's something just to be aware of. There's always opportunities or things that look like opportunities. And I think we want to be sure we understand our time commitment to those things, because every time you're saying yes to something, okay, you're saying no to something else. And sometimes when we're saying yes to pursuing this path, we're carving out, excuse me, away time from our primary business. Give me some thoughts on that.
So Lonnie, I
Yeah.
got Lonnie.
You're running multiple hustles, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, and one of the things that early on when I was kind of getting easy button properties going, again, I've kind of been re-energized. I had a lot of energy. I do kind of like being hands-on a little bit. So I was buying those properties and trying to do as much of the work as I could myself, right? And then I got advice, some sage advice from Nathan Priest is, you're over there doing that, and that's all great. You're probably not saving as much money as you think you are, and meanwhile, you're taking away from your real estate business. Well, it's 4 years later, and you know what I can say? He's right. So now I finally have figured that out by slowly giving up control on that. The last one I just bought, I walked in and I told my contractor, hey, I need this done, this done, this done. And I don't even want to put on a switch plate cover in this house. I don't want to touch anything. I just need you to do it all. So, meanwhile, you kind of backing off that, each house backing off a little bit more. Well, coincidentally, my real estate business is growing really, really quickly. So so I think there's some truth in that. So, so definitely, yeah, me out there spending, an extra 10, 15, 20 hours a week so I can save $5,000 overall at the end of the project, right? The math probably didn't add up like I thought it was. So
great share. Who else? Yeah. Who else on time management and the different ands that we have going on in our world? Some of you guys will experiment with flipping houses. Some of you will do, maybe get into investment property, but 2 different agents close on their first rentals in the last 30 days. Those are ands. You're getting into these ands. I think wealth building ands are fantastic. But I think we really need to be conscious of what this looks like. My dad was one of those guys. He was a little more like me, probably. He liked being in the office. He liked being president. He was effective when he was doing that. So he had to say no to certain things to be able to get himself in there to work at a high level to provide the amazing things that he did for our family when he was in this business. And I think a lot of people in our industry and even in our company, they make the choice not to do that. The other things in their world become the priority, and then they can't figure out why the business isn't running at the level that they are hoping and that it would. So these are all decisions, and it's not to say one's better than the other and all those sorts of things. We've got to find that life-work balance, no question about it. But we very often we say we want these things, but our activities and our actions don't match up. Audio and video, as we always say, just aren't in alignment. And it can be a little bit of a head scratcher at times. That's why I always push to try to get people to be present in the office, because I know that gives them the best chance to get some traction, especially early on. Any more thoughts along those lines? Okay, let's talk about, I'll finish with this and then I'll probably let Brandy run with this. And I know Shelby's got a little question she wants to kind of hit the group with. So many different ways to find business and secure business. I think one of the things we always want to think about when we're doing an activity is who are we going after? Okay. So when I'm working in my database, and I really like my database, as you know, okay, it's a good business. So I'm working with people that are already in my world, my sphere of influence. These people aren't strangers to me. It's relationships have been cultivated over years and years and years. That to me, that's easy. So if I do other activities, for example, if I choose to do an open house, that's cool. I'm, for the most part, dealing with the general public, okay? The general public, I'm trying to get the general public into my world. You guys get that? The distinction there. If you're on board duty, most likely, any leads you have coming off that, it's the general public that you're bringing into your world, not people that are already in your world. Now, you bring them in and you grow them in that database, and that's all fine. It's a great way to grow it, but two different activities there. So open houses, any of that. Paul Fife, the master of video, and some of the guys that are jumping in with him to really challenge themselves. By the way, I think that's one of the coolest things I've seen in a while. I'm anxious to see the results. But again, you're out there, you're basically appealing to the general public to do business with me and to get into my world. So we've got to have both those going at the same time somehow. If you have a very small database, you've got to cultivate the general public to get them into your funnel. If you already have a really good database, don't look past that trying to find new strangers. Does that make sense? Cultivate the people that are already in relationship with you first, and then work with the strangers. Give me some thoughts on that. Anybody? Bueller?
I have some recent experiences that make me very much veer at the moment toward only working with people that I feel like I know really well. Even though it might have been a referral, it still has been more challenging. Now, there might have been other reasons also. However, just to say that personally, as I look at my situation, I feel like I am heavily leaning toward wanting to really capitalize on my people. Even if that might, in my mind, look like I'm slowing down or backing up a little bit. So that's just where I'm at today. But it's also been a bit of a bumpy couple of weeks. So, but that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like, would all transactions with my people be perfect? No. However, I still feel like it might not eliminate all the problems, but it surely might help me funnel my time better, and maybe part of the emotions even in trying to work with people that they don't know you, so there's no real trust factor that you're constantly working at. It seems that while you're building trust in a transaction is a lot harder when you've had it prior to a transaction.
Amen. You guys, I'm telling you, it is so much better to do business with people that know you, good or bad, and you know them. We all have crazy clients, right? But I know how crazy they are. I know how to treat them. They know how to treat me. When I sit in front of somebody and I've done business with them before, I go, you guys, I love doing business with people I've done business with before, because the general public's crazy and they start laughing. They go, we crazy too, Lonnie, that kind of stuff. But we have a good time with it. And then sometimes I'll sit down with total strangers. Somehow they're referred to me and I've never met them. And if they're interviewing agents, they'll kind of look at me like, hey, how come you don't have all this stuff with you? I'm like, I don't really do a lot of interviewing anymore. And I lead off with that. I go, my business is almost exclusively former clients and direct referrals from those people. I appreciate how you got into my world, and here's how we operate. We get hired most of the time. It's just think about who you really want to do business with. We want to be sure that the plays we're running are designed for the group that we wish to do business with. Does that make sense? I've got to get off and run, and my voice is going too, so I think I'm done. Brandy, you got it from here. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Lonnie.
Thank
I got
you.
it. All right, but I will tell you this. Hey guys, I do want, please help me. Please contribute. Please talk. Please jump in. It makes it a lot easier if a mastermind is where a bunch of us talk together and contribute together. And so I look forward to that. It makes it easier on the facilitator too. So I'm asking for help and giving you permission to speak. But Shelby, I was listening at the beginning. Will you, I think you might have to unmute again, but there you go. You had a situation that you wanted to run by all of us and get our take on it. So please, I think I heard you, but let's redo it again for everybody who didn't.
Yeah. So, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a home for sale in Greenwood, Missouri. It was no offers, no offers. And then I got a contingency offer. And my clients, I have offer instructions out there. The agent did not fill them out. I put a 48-hour expiration time at the very top of my offer instructions. I try to have a conversation with my people about different things to help the buyer's agents so that they don't ask like tons of questions and we don't have to go back and forth a lot. And so he completely disregarded basically anything I said on the phone. And then also did not put together any sort of email with the offer. Neither did the other two agents, though, which was very surprising to me because when I write an offer on a home, I take the time and send an email to the listing agent with the information about my clients, why they like the home, and I put that piece of the puzzle for them. So I thought that was kind of interesting. There was a family that we really wanted to go with, but they were so focused on using USAA as their lender. When I tried calling the lender, it gives you a generic answering. And I was not going to sit and wait on the phone to speak with somebody. I want to work with the local lender. And so I had mentioned to her, like, is there absolutely no way they'll go with a local lender? Because this letter also just says pre-qualified. And I said, if you don't really need the seller paid closing costs, then we're, pretty neck and neck. And but she couldn't tell me whether they really needed the seller paid closing costs or not because that USAA lender isn't available. Conveniently, they never made a phone call to me yesterday to tell us about their clients. Tell us about their clients. The other two lenders did connect with me. So they costed themselves, that one family costed themselves the house because of which lender they picked. They weren't pre-approved, and the other offer we had expired last night, and we can't sit and wait and hope that they submit their information over. So I wanted to just make sure our agents, make sure your people are completely pre-approved. Don't get yourself into a multiple offer situation and not know for sure if you need seller paid closing costs or don't need seller paid closing costs, and then find out they're just pre-qualified and they really haven't done any of their financials to the mortgage officer. So just some different things I saw pop up, and I was disappointed in their agents because it costed them the house. I don't know if those people ever know that, but it did. So, yeah.
So you're saying the lender you choose matter, or the lender your buyers choose, right? They get to choose. Hopefully we're referring great people to them, but you're right. Sometimes they come to us with their own lender already.
Yep.
And that, so if you see somebody, let's say Shelby, if you had a buyer that shows up and says, hey, great news, we're already pre-approved, here's my letter, and it's with USAA, what might you do about that? What would you, I mean, they can use anybody they
Yes.
want, right?
Yes, I would try to explain to them, and this is what their sweet buyer's agent did too. She tried to explain to them how important it is to work with a local lender that's available to you and not it's cut off at 5. You have nobody until the following morning. And they're also more difficult to get in touch with. And I also advise I worked with a company. I had some buyers that already were pre-approved with Mason Mortgage, and it was a complete train wreck, and every single problem that could possibly not be a problem was thrown at us very last minute, and it was a mess because they insisted that they used this company that I wasn't familiar with. And yeah, so I just give them advice of you're more than welcome to pick who you like, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to get in touch with these people. And if you cannot get in touch with them easily, and neither can the listing agent, they're going to skip your offer. So, what is that the way I should say it? Sorry, sometimes I'm not always politically correct, and I just
It's kind of blunt, huh? Yeah.
very blunt.
What do we, guys, what do we
So-
think about that? What are some thoughts or experiences y'all have had with the lenders, good and bad, you know?
If
With
it's
local
early on,
lenders?
request a good faith estimate, get with your trusted lender, and have them figure out a way to win and explain that, our offers are kind of like a beauty contest, and we want to make our offer as pretty as possible so it becomes very easy to accept. So that, and then really the motivation typically is just purely money or some sort of bait and switch opportunity you see with these. USAA is different. There's a military aspect to that is sometimes a little bit more difficult one. So in that scenario, I'll reach out and kind of pin a loan officer down and before doing anything. But if it's just somebody that they clicked on because it's the best rate on the internet that day, I'd say get a good faith estimate and work off the numbers. So
I had
They've
to tell
actually,
somebody the other day that they're like, I got pre-approved with Rocket Mortgage. Can you help me find a house? And I just said to them, my experience shows me that those deals are going to tend to not be successful based on your lender. So we either can transition, and I can give you a few lenders to call, and therefore I would be able to represent you. But I'm not comfortable as a realtor if you're with Rocket Mortgage. I'm not going to be the best fit for you because that doesn't let me represent who I am as a realtor either. So I want to represent my client, but the fact is if we can't agree on the very beginning, then I'm not willing to kind of jump in there and go, we're going to agree on all the other things either. So I feel like the lending process is a huge indicator of their trust level that I'm the professional and I'm trying to help them get there. So yeah, if there was one of those companies, I just clearly just tell them these, I've just seen these not work a lot. Could it? Yes. Am I comfortable partnering in it? No.
I
And
think I think you got to ask a lot of questions before you start making those hard ultimatums, to be honest with you, because it could be as simple as, my current mortgage got sold to Rocket Mortgage. They sent me a bunch of mailers. I filled out the stuff online. So I just be like, are you tied to Rocket Mortgage in any way? Is there something I need to know about that? And then kind of lay out the scenario. I like finding out somebody's motivation for, oh no, I just got a mailer. I'm definitely happy to talk with your local lender. Or no, I'm committed to this because it's my brother-in-law that I'm actually working with. I don't know. I think asking some questions before throwing an ultimatum would be a good idea. So
Well, I worked with a Rocket Mortgage one time. I only had one buyer approved, and actually it was fine. It was totally fine. And their motivation was, well, yeah, that's who we used the last two houses we bought. So they were kind of loyal to Rocket Mortgage. And so I was like, okay, well, they were pretty set on it. And so, and it turned out okay. I mean, I know that that isn't always the case. I've heard all the horror stories we have all heard. You know, so I like that, Nate, just to find out what their motivation is. Because people can just get online and get pre-qualified just by filling out a little survey, right? And then they get called and then they get pre-approved or whatever. So digging deeper, asking lots of questions. This is our due diligence as great agents. So I love that you're doing that, Shelby, that you're digging in and trying to set your people up in the best way possible. Let's see. Makaya says, I prefer to have a point of contact. If I can talk to the lender and the items I want to know are answered, then I run with it. I only explain to my clients if I have had a bad experience, but no hard lines for me, just due diligence. Yeah, very good. We all seem to agree with that if we answer the questions, it seems to check out okay. Okay.
I've actually had two pre-approvals come through from people I don't know. One of them, a lady I met at an open house, and she had a pre-approval, but it said Bell Bank Mortgage, and I thought it was with a bank. And I tried to encourage her to go with a private local lender because she was an out-of-state woman. And actually, she tried to go with one of my preferred lenders, but that lender has a team, and my buyer tried to fill out her application and was contacted by a team member rather than the actual lender name. And she was not happy at all. And so I actually called her current pre-approval person and found out that it was a mortgage company, not a bank. And it was actually in the Kansas side, like in Overland Park. And so I called, I asked, how she was with her finances, if she was good to go. And she said yes. And so actually I did that before we put in an offer on a house. And I'm glad I did, because the listing agent was like, have you ever worked with this lender before? And I'm like, no, but I've called and I know this person is good to go with her finances. I've talked to the lender and she says, that this is, a mortgage company, blah, blah, blah. And so our offer got accepted.
Awesome. Good deal. Any other thoughts, questions, anything at all about lenders, challenges? Okay. Does anybody else have another situation you want to bring before the group and we can help you mastermind as well? Anybody got anything going on? Yep, Tom.
Okay, so I have a seller who lives in Belton, Missouri, who is married and their spouse lives in Melbourne, Australia. Okay, they have never lived in the same house together, right? But we are in the so even, and then when I pull up the deed for the home, it is only in the person that lives in the home here in Belton. But as when I sent over the agreement, the listing agreement for them to sign, I went ahead and put both their names on there, a married couple. And then on the part of it says where you put in the title company that they'll be closing with and the home is vested in, I put in both of their names, right? Because in the state of Missouri, it's married couple. So I get a very pleasant, I want to say pushback. I'll call it pushback, but they were very nice about it. The seller that is in Australia is like, hey, we got some rules over here in Australia, and I don't want it to come back on me. She used some acronym about some tax that could be involved. And really, is there a way for me to not be on here? Can I sign away my marital rights to sell or to do that? Because I really don't want my name on the contract. So, um, uh, so, actually, so while we've been on this, I actually got my answer because I reached out to Cofelt first thing this morning and kind of did. So actually, I don't need you guys to solve the problem, but I'm going to tell you what I found out. So in this case, no, we do not have to have both of them on there. I will list Miss Belton as a married person, and then we will have Miss Melbourne. She will sign something on the deed. So no, I don't need them both on, according to Cofelt in this particular situation. I do not need them both on the contract or my listing agreement, which is a big relief, I think, for me and them. I haven't shared this information with them. So anybody else, I guess I'm asking, does that any similar experiences to this where we have a married couple selling a home that don't cohabitate together? Yeah. So
Yeah, I had it come up just recently, and Kafel told me the same thing. So I sold a house to a single guy, but he was young and he needed his mom to co-sign for him 5 years ago. So his mom and him bought the house 5 years ago. He is now married and he is selling the house. And so I'm like, okay. So I went ahead and put the wife on there because even though she wasn't a part of it, she's not on the deed. She is married. She has marital right to it. I know she doesn't have to be on the contract, but that makes her feel included. So for her to be on the contract, great. The mom who co-signed is also married. I don't even know that gentleman's name. I didn't put him on there, but he will have to sign I forget what it is. Y'all probably remember. It's not hitting my brain, but they have to sign something there at closing. The spouses do.
yeah.
And so I heard the same thing.
Yeah.
You got
My
there.
only challenge is that it's just with her being in Australia. I mean, I don't know what their system is over there, but she'll have to get this notarized somehow and sent back. And I guess based upon the email response that she sent, she seems pretty educated and smart. So I bet she's going to figure it out. So
Awesome.
yeah.
It's great to have a good title company that you can pop in and ask the questions you need to ask. And that's the best thing to do. So,
Okay. I can share another learning experience.
sure.
Okay. So I have a property that was originally 30 acres that I had under contract. Some of you have heard about it, probably tired of me talking about it, but I've learned some things from this. So I had the whole property under contract, 30 acres. It was a contingent deal on another larger property selling. That deal fell apart, but we were able to put part of the deal back together. We were able to get them to, it was the neighbor's parents who were buying the property, but the neighbor said, hey, we can't make that deal happen, but I would like to purchase the 25 acres. Okay. And we'll leave 5 acres, which is very doable to cut that off. So we were able to get him to overpay, what I think overpay for that property, which is going to help us to sell the other property. But meanwhile, this property that was on 30 acres has an additional dwelling unit. So we carved out the 25 acres and now we're down only to a 5-acre property. And I advertised this thing with an additional dwelling unit. Okay. And I find out because I called the planning and zoning for Cass County, talked to a nice gal called Valerie, and Valerie looks at it. She says, yep, you ought to be good with the age of the property. It should be no problem. Bring your survey in. We'll stamp it, go over and get it recorded. So then that was on a Friday afternoon. On Monday, she calls me back, and I guess she had looked up my listing and says, hey, this has an additional dwelling unit on it. I'm saying, well, it's got this kind of building with a bathroom and a kitchen. I'm trying not to answer the question. It's like, no, you can't in Cass County to have an additional dwelling unit. It has to be 20 acres or more. So basically, we sold 25. I had a 5-acre property. So then I had to go through, okay, how do I solve this problem? And she sent out an inspector to what the previous additional dwelling unit, which we're not calling that anymore. And they made us take off some closet doors and do some stuff like that. And then kind of gave us I don't know, something to verify that we're good. But that was just something that I don't know if you guys are like me. I feel like I'm supposed to know everything, right? When I go into, and when things like this come up and it's obviously I made a mistake, because I didn't know the rules. It like, okay. And then I had to backtrack and fix things. So just kind of sharing that kind of information is that, every time we learn something every time, right? So I had to go back in, change my MLS description, uncheck the ADU box, or and then and do all of that. And I think we're going to be okay. But that first conversation I had with the lady at Planning and Zoning was great. And now ever since that happened, my conversations seem not to be as friendly. So it's like, I hope she doesn't pull any punches when I finally get down there with the survey. So anyway, just a lesson learned every time I turn around.
Tom, would you still call that like a multi-generational home? Or would you just refrain?
No, I think we can't call it anything like that at all. And actually, the situation even got a little bit, I don't want to say hairier, but I had somebody interested in the property and they went and looked at it right after I found this out. And she called me and said, hey, the guest house. And I said, no, that's not a guest house. We can't call it a guest house. And what we are calling it, what is a construction office, because that's what it was actually used for. Nobody actually it's an inherited home. It was owned a long time, and those people never used it. They built it, but they used it as a construction office. So I said, hey, it's a construction office. And she goes, yeah, but somebody could sleep in it, right? And I said, well, somebody could sleep in the barn if they wanted to, but what I'm telling you is we're not calling it additional dwelling unit. Well, she called her client and told her client that, yes, you can use it as an additional dwelling unit. The client called Cass County, which I'd already been through several conversations about the property, and says, hey, I'm looking at this property on 21503Y Highway, and they say it has an additional dwelling unit on it, and I just want to make sure that that's right. And she got told, no, you cannot. If you lived in that unit, it would be illegal. So then this agent calls me back and says, Tom, didn't you tell me that they could live in that? I said, no. I told you it's not an additional dwelling unit. It has a kitchen, it has a bathroom, it has a couple other rooms, but no, we can't call it that. So that even deepened. Now the county has a call from somebody interested in a home calling it an additional dwelling unit. So anyway, it's just interesting. So we call it a construction office now. And then I tell people it's a construction office with a kitchen and a bathroom in it. And then they asked me if they can live in it. And I said, I think you could probably live in the barn if you wanted to. You just can't tell anybody. Anyway. Oh, Brandy, you're muted.
We learn a lot of random stuff in this industry. Stuff you never knew existed or that you needed to know. Yeah. And very good. Very good. I appreciate you sharing, Tom. And it's like all things. I have that right here, this black thing right here. It says sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. And not that this is a win or loss thing, but even when things fall apart, we learn. We're better for it. Even when we lose a deal, even when we learn a lot, and it makes us better for the next time we see that thing. Or the next time somebody on a call wants to know something similar. So I appreciate you sharing your experience and your knowledge with us. So if we ever list a construction office, we'll know how to do that.
Well, if it's on 20 acres, on 20 acres or more, you can call it whatever you want. Less than 20 acres, you better not call it an additional dwelling unit or a guest house.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right, we got about 3 minutes left. Does anybody have a quick something you want to run by anybody, or an announcement, or a public service announcement, or anything at all, or a question? Okay. Well, let's see. As Lonnie mentioned at the top of the call, Caesar and I are going on vacation next week. And so we're taking the kids, or 2/3 of the kids, down to Florida. And he will still be paying agents. Like, if you know Caesar, we've taken 2 vacations since we've been here, and one was a cruise, and he paid agents from the ocean. So you will get paid. It may not be within minutes or hours, but he will pay agents every day. So I think his plan is that every evening when we're kind of wrapping things up, he'll sit with his computer and process the deals from the day and make sure everybody gets paid. So you won't go days without pay, but it may just hit a little bit later than normal for the next week. And we appreciate your grace on that. If I know Lonnie and Amber are going to be here, our ownership group is here, so you'll still have plenty of support, plenty of people to jump in and problem solve with you should the need arise. And I appreciate that time to step away for a minute. Micaiah has 4709 Evanston in Kansas City. It's pretty motivated sellers, so if you have a buyer looking in that area, look her up. Yeah. I also have I have an open house opportunity for Sunday in Blue Springs. If anybody is looking for an open house on Sunday in Blue Springs, let me know. Thank you, Tammy. Anybody else? Last minute, anything? All right. Well, I won't make you stay one more. I won't make you stay one more minute. So we're going to wrap this up. And y'all have a good day. All right. Bye-bye.